So it looks like the Marvel Cinematic Universe is back in full force, but this time less cinematic and more streaming servicey, with all their new shows. So now The Falcon and the Winter Soldier, the second show set in the MCU, that's considered canon anyway, is finally here. Time to review it.
We look damn good though.
Alright, up top, gonna discuss spoilers, so if you haven't seen The Falcon and the Winter Soldier yet, click off now. Okay, so of all the MCU Disney Plus shows announced, aside from WandaVision maybe, this was probably the one I was looking forward to the most. Partly because I spoke the show into existence, and also because I really like the brief interactions that these characters have had. They're all really fun, and I wanted to see more of them. Endgame sets it up nicely, and the trailers for this all looked pretty great. So now that The Falcon and the Winter Soldier is out, I thought that it was really good. Not great overall, but it definitely had some great moments. Even though these shows are very different, it's hard not to compare this to WandaVision, seeing how they're both MCU shows on Disney Plus, and they're only MCU content we've gotten in over a year. So I will say I liked this a little more than WandaVision, I think. But again, they are very different, and although Falcon and Winter Soldier doesn't really reach the high points that WandaVision did, it also doesn't dip in quality like WandaVision did either. It stayed pretty consistent throughout, which was a relief. So let's talk about the characters here. Sam Wilson, I've never really been that attached to in the MCU. I feel like in the movies we haven't really got to know him that well, but in this we get to see what his life is like when he's not being a superhero. We get more of Sam as a war veteran counselor, and this shows us why he's the best choice to be Captain America. Because he's able to empathize with his enemies and de-escalate the situation, instead of just getting into a fight. I don't know if some people thought he was too sympathetic towards flag smashers in this, but it made sense why he wanted to convince them to stop, because they're all quite young, and if the military or John Walker got to them first, it would just be a bloodbath. So it makes sense that Sam doesn't want that to happen. Bucky Barnes I actually really liked in this, which surprised me a lot, because again, in the films I haven't found him super compelling. But here we get to see how his life as a Winter Soldier has affected him mentally, and it's all really interesting, and Sebastian Stan does a great job, especially in the first episode, adding that flashback in Wakanda. Kinda wish it was explored a bit more, but oh well. Zemo was definitely the show stealer here. He's just really fun to watch. Daniel Bruhl just plays him with so much charisma and weird charm. I'd want to see more of him in the MCU. He's like the good version of Jesse Eisenberg's Lex Luthor. Sharon Carter, I've never really liked at all in the movies. And they give her more personality and more to do here, but the twist, which we all saw coming, that she's the power broker, felt kinda underwhelming. Maybe it's just how the reveal was handled, but having her going from Steve Rogers' friend / romantic interest to her being a straight up villain felt like too big of a jump for this character. I am interested to see where this is gonna go though, because we haven't really seen a good guy willingly turn bad in the MCU, at least not that I can remember. So it could be interesting to see in the future, just wish they fleshed it out a bit more. As for the new characters, John Walker I thought was pretty excellent. Riot Russell does a great job playing the soldier who is all under pressure and is pretty unstable, and I like that he wasn't just a straight up bad guy. He does some horrific things, but he's not evil, and again, I'm excited to see where this character goes in the future. As for Carly Morgenthau and the Flag Smashers, yeah, they were pretty uninteresting. I'm gonna guess that a lot of the reason behind this though was probably due to the reshoots. If you don't know, there was going to be a subplot that had something to do with a virus, but it was edited out because of, Brexit. There were plenty of videos out there going over what was likely changed, but there are a lot of scenes with the Flag Smashers that are just weirdly edited, like the scene where they're listening to the news broadcast and no one says anything, and it's all reaction shots. Just very odd. And when it ended and they were being sent to the raft and that one guy was like, one world, one people, I was just like, oh no, we're gonna have to see more of the Flag Smashers in the future. And then Zemo's butler just blew up the truck, so boom, no more Flag Smashers. Thank God. Moving on though, Isaiah Bradley I found to be a really interesting character. Carl Lumbly is excellent in the role. The old man makeup he has on though was kinda distracting at points, but his character has a really interesting and tragic backstory, and I really wasn't expecting the show to delve into racism in America, and I think it handled it in a way that felt both relevant to the show and relevant to everything that's been going on, especially in the past year. And it's able to acknowledge that America does have an extremely racist history, which is often overlooked. And it did its job pissing off anti-SJWs, so that's good too. We also get some more returning characters like Batroc the Leaper, Ao, and Rodial making an appearance. I definitely like how other MCU characters played into this, and it didn't feel like it was fan servicey at all. It all made sense for those characters to be there. I do find it kind of hilarious though that instead of taking Zemo to a prison in Wakanda, the Dora Milaje instead take him to a prison which has already successfully been broken into and all its prisoners freed. Like, they're just asking for Zemo to break out again. Oh yeah, and the lady from Seinfeld is in this, who I guess is going to be in Black Widow, and I'm assuming in other MCU projects. Don't really have anything to say about her character though, but based off what little we've seen of her, I'm guessing she's going to be like a bad guy version of Nick Fury, so that could be pretty interesting. The best parts of this show are definitely when Sam and Bucky are having some banter. It's endlessly entertaining to just watch them bicker at each other, and it's even better when Zemo is there as well. I love it. It's just guys being dudes, you know? The action in this was pretty good throughout. Aside from Sharon Carter's action scene and the helicopter chase in the final though, nothing else really stood out as being mind-blowingly good, but none of it was bad at all, and it's all phenomenal by television standards. As what I didn't like, there are some scenes and brief moments in here that just feel kind of poorly edited or directed, or they're just not very well shot. Again, some of this could have just been due to reshoots and trying to edit out stuff, but other times it feels kind of poorly put together. The scene where John Walker kills a guy would have been way more brutal if it didn't constantly cut back to the guy and he was fine. Here's a version I made where I edited those moments out. I'm probably biased here, but I think it works better, or at the very least it's less distracting. There are some other scenes as well though, like John Walker lashing out, where it just feels poorly directed, like there's not enough motion coming through here, and some of this show looks kinda ugly. Definitely not all of it, but there are a lot of close-up shots that feel kind of unnecessary, and sometimes it looks like they just slapped an Instagram filter over it. Again though, most of this show looks really good. The stuff in Madripoor all looks very cinematic. Also, for a show that tackles themes of racism towards African Americans, it's kind of weird that they killed off an African American superhero just to give a white character some motivation, and then there was this exchange.
I didn't mean to kill your friend. I don't want to hurt people that don't matter.
You don't think Lamar's life mattered?
I don't want to hurt people that don't matter.
You don't think Lamar's life mattered?
That moment felt very inappropriate. Also, the costumes all kinda stink. At this point, all MCU costumes are just looking very samey. The Falcon costume just looks kinda goofy. Bucky doesn't even really get a costume in this. Zemo's mask looks weirdly puffy. And US Agent and Battlestar look very bland and generic, but I guess that's the point. And hot take, but Sam's Captain America costume looks pretty bad. It's just way too busy. It should have been more simplified, like how it looks in the comics. Doesn't really look like it fits very well either, and the sleeves don't connect to the thing. Also, it was made by the Wakandans, so I don't know why it looks like basically every other Captain America costume, but hey, at least it's colourful. The colours aren't muted like 80% of the other costumes in the MCU. Also, can we talk about that speech scene? Because, oh my god, that went on for way too long. And like, I know he's making good points or whatever about society and stuff, but man, I know I shouldn't compare, but Steve Rogers would have wrapped that shit up in like 30 seconds. Overall though, despite the show's flaws, I had a good time with this. Sam Wilson becoming Captain America felt very rewarding, and I'm excited to see where this is all gonna go. I'm gonna give The Falcon and the Winter Soldier an 8 out of 10. Anyway, that's what I thought about The Falcon and the Winter Soldier. Thanks for watching, I really appreciate it. If you want, you can follow me on Twitter @CinemaGeekYT. Leave a like and subscribe for more videos like this one.